Welcome to today's Mini Perspectives, which will take the place of our normal full show just for a couple of days until we're back in full force next week. Well, today's Mini Perspectives covers a very important announcement just released here in the UK relating to the All Party Parliamentary Group for British Sikhs. That is representing the Sikh community here in the UK on behalf of the parliamentary parties. Now, the All Party Parliamentary Group was actually originally set up 20 years ago in July 2005. And it was originally set up to help represent British Sikhs and help improve government decisions about issues affecting the Sikh community. It was actually at the time an initiative of the Sikh Federation UK, who've been a very powerful lobby group on behalf of the community and done an awful lot of service to ensure that the voice of the Sikh community has been represented as well as it possibly could be by our democratic process. So the All Party Parliamentary Group itself, it has a long list of achievements in its long and distinguished 20-year history. And many of the key achievements where it has played a pivotal role and working particularly closely with the community have focused particularly around better representation, addressing discrimination, encouraging the setting up of Sikh faith schools, protecting Sikh identity, etc., etc. So they're all pretty mainstream reasons. And as I say, it has been quite a long list of achievements. And it does include, for example, the statutory code of practice on articles of the Sikh faith. This, of course, is the allowance legally, the legal ability to wear things like the kirpan and the kara at work, school and in public places. Of course, that's a story that we often report on, where the kirpan has caused all sorts of problems in public spaces, particularly around other Western nations. And, of course, it includes the proper recognition of Sikhs to address discrimination and fair treatment and anti-Sikh hate, which, of course, is a big issue for the community. And the All Party Group has been heavily involved in ensuring and putting in place the various legal infrastructure and the political infrastructure to ensure that things like hate crimes are recorded, the data collected, and policy is then formulated and moulded around that to attack it. And, of course, two big issues, and again, big issues that we talk about regularly is, of course, the case of Jagtar Singh Johal. The group does, it certainly has taken up the case of Jagtar Singh Johal, and it is lobbying on behalf of the community against the government and to ensuring that the pressure is continually applied on Starmer's government to do something about Jagtar Singh Johal, as he still resides in arbitrary detention in India. The June 1984 massacre, of course, there is this demand from the community, and has been for many years, for an independent judge-led public inquiry into UK involvement. Of course, Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister at the time. And the community, through the All Party Parliamentary Group, has been lobbying, again, very hard. The previous Conservative government, and of course the current Labour government, who have themselves promised in their manifesto to deliver a judge-led inquiry, which as yet, still a year in, and they still haven't delivered. So again, that is one issue that remains at the forefront of the group. And of course, transnational oppression, the community safety, the safety of the Sikh community here in the UK, as well as, of course, the diaspora, particularly here in the UK. We do know that many members in our community here in the UK are under direct threat from India, from Indian transnational oppression. There are many who have been served threat to life notices by our law enforcement and intelligence agencies because they are aware of real and present threats to their lives as they just go about their day-to-day business here in the UK. So as this 20th anniversary since the establishment of this group, this All-Party Parliamentary Group, has passed, I think it passed about 4 days ago, there has been a big announcement to celebrate this 20th anniversary. And that is the formation of the United Kingdom Gurdwara Alliance. Now, the UK Gurdwara Alliance, what is? It sounds very grand, and it is actually indeed a very grand collection. Another organisation that's been set up once again to ensure that the voice of the Sikh community is filtered and funneled into one united voice. Instead of having lots of disparate voices across the community and across the geography of the United Kingdom, a group has been deliberately formed to actually represent the community and represent the community's various voices across the United Kingdom via the Gurdwaras. And of course, then it has been called the Gurdwara Alliance. Now, the UK Gurdwara Alliance was launched on the 1st of July via the All Party Parliamentary Group. And it exists for obviously very many reasons, but primarily, of course, to ensure that the Sikh community does have a voice democratically But also it exists to ensure that the government, it's really one of its key messages has been to advise the government that it needs to change in the way it's engaging with the Sikh community. In other words, the government has fallen short in the way it has both engaged and represented its Sikh community. We do have a very large Sikh community here in the UK. And one of the other areas it's particularly focusing on, particularly at the moment, is the Charity Commission. The Charity Commission itself has been accused of being outdated and failing to understand the ever-increasing challenges faced by Gurdwaras. And government and officials via the new alliance have been warned of a risk of political interference by engaging with individuals under the influence of the Indian government. Now, this is an important one, of course. We often report about how the Indian government, and by that read the RSS, the Hindutva extremists who seem to control things over there, they have vast resources solely dedicated to infiltrating Western democracies and influencing the agenda and policies, influencing political policies, influencing academia, industry, politics, you name it. They are there and they are paying good money to key people who have a potential influence on the agenda and policy making here in the UK, across North America, Europe and other areas. So the government is being warned via the Gurdwara Alliance that, of course, this is going on and you need to be more aware of it and take more action about it. So, as I said, the Alliance was launched officially in London on the 1st of July, a few days ago. It is, according to its own press release, it is a UK-wide Gurdwara body providing a collective voice for over 200 Gurdwaras across the UK. 25 leading Gurdwaras across 12 regions are responsible for consulting and coordinating all the Gurdwaras in their region. So all the Gurdwaras around the UK essentially report into 25 leading Gurdwaras across 12 regions, and they then, through this alliance, then push the message forward to whoever the intended audience is. And the 25 leading Gurdwaras include, of course, many Gurdwaras that we know very well here in the UK. The Central Gurdwara, the Khalsa in London, that was the first ever Gurdwara here in the UK. The Guru Nanak Gurdwara in Smethwick, that was the first Gurdwara in the West Midlands, and that in fact is the largest here in the UK. Of course, the iconic Guru Nanak Darbar Gurdwara in Gravesend, and Gurdwara Sri Guru Singh Sabha in Newcastle, up in the northeast of the UK. That's the largest one representing the northeast region. That will cover the northeast Yorkshire, that sort of area. And the Central Gurdwara in Glasgow, that is the largest Gurdwara in Scotland. Now, as at the All Party Parliamentary Group get-together on the 1st of July, when this announcement was made, lots of representatives from, of course, all of these Gurdwaras were there. They all presented, they all made their voices heard, and a great discussion was had by all accounts. And some of the comments that have come out of that of those various presentations included, for example, by Gurpreet Singh Anand. He's the president at the Central Gurdwara in London, the Khalsa in London. He told those who were gathered, and the gathering included some pretty high-profile people. It did include various members of Parliament, including, of course, Sikh MPs like Tamil Desai, etc., etc. I think we've got, is it 11 or 12 Sikh MPs in total here in the UK? And various ministers were there, and peers, of course, from the House of Lords, that is our upper house in our parliamentary democracy. And they were told, under no uncertain terms, that the UK government must change the way they engage with the Sikh community. And Gurpreet Singh Anand actually said the UK Gurdwara Alliance provides an ideal platform for government to engage on faith-related matters and issues directly impacting on Gurdwaras and their Sanghas. Of course, who, by extension, of course, the community that they represent. And by Kuldeep Singh, the former president at Guru Nanak Gurdwara in Smethwick, I met Kuldeep Singh, a very solid guy actually. I met him, was it last year in London? And he actually said that Gurdwaras up and down the country at the local level are recognised by MPs, councillors, local authorities, police, schools, health bodies and other local decision-making bodies as the key Sikh institutions with a massive reach to the community. So the Gurdwara Alliance, as he said, has been established at the national level to address a disconnect that exists between central government and the Gurdwaras. Of course, the Gurdwaras are very good at representing the communities, but there is this huge disconnect between that collection of Gurdwaras and the government itself. So this alliance has been set up to try and form that interface, that link between the two levels. And he'd said that the Charity Commission, and of course this is also focusing on the Charity Commission, and it's interesting because the Charity Commission has also, we talked a lot about the Charity Commission in the case of of Sikh Youth UK, and those sadly who face the wrath of British law under some fairly spurious charges under the Charity Commission. So one has to wonder about the, should we say, the agenda of the Charity Commission itself. I know that's a whole side issue. I'm not going to go down that issue in this particular discussion. But the Charity Commission itself, its current approach to Gurdwaras is actually outdated. It is out of step with the growing challenges that these institutions face. It continues to rely on advice from individuals who lack the necessary understanding and experience of how Gurdwaras operate and the responsibilities involved in running them effectively. So basically what Kuldeep Singh has said is that the Gurdwaras, which basically run under charitable status, is that the actual Charity Commission, the organisation, the state organisation that controls them and administers them from the government's perspective, is actually out of touch. It really doesn't understand what goes on at Gurdwaras. It doesn't understand really the issues that are important to Gurdwaras, and that is an issue that needs to be addressed. And again, this alliance has been formed to try and address that and remove this disconnect. Now, the UK Gurdwara Alliance will also be liaising with the APPG and the SGPC. Of course, it will have this powerful link, this strong link back to the Punjab, back to the important core religious centres of the Sikh faith in the Punjab, of course, the SGPC and the APPG, the highest seat of Sikhi in the Punjab. And of course, there will be a lot of liaison between the various bodies to ensure that the message from the central core is then broadcast via the Gurdwara Alliance, of course, around the Sangats, around the UK, but also then it helps form agenda and policy that can then be advised to the government via this alliance. Now, one of the lords in attendance, Lord Wajid Khan, the faith minister, addressed those who were in attendance. And he reflected and mentioned that many of the issues raised at this event said he'd listened to the concerns raised by the UK Gurdwara Alliance about government engagement, and he warmly welcomed Ramesh Singh Arora. He's the Minister for Minority Affairs in the Government of Punjab. Now, Ramesh Singh Arora, he is the president of the PSGPC, came to the UK, that's Pakistan SGPC, he came to the UK especially to attend this anniversary of the All Party Parliamentary Group for British Sikhs and the launch of this UK Gurdwara Alliance. So that actually is a great endorsement from Pakistan Punjab, the SGPC over in Pakistan Punjab. And he did actually speak and present to the congregation, that's a Christian word, to the Sangat. And he actually said, he was quoted saying, the UK Gurdwara Alliance is an excellent initiative by Gurdwaras. Having a collective voice for over 200 UK Gurdwaras is extremely powerful. This will be helpful for not only the UK government engagement, but will improve links between Gurdwara bodies across the globe. And I think that really, as a final send-off, really sums up, I think, the significance of what has just been announced just a few days ago, is that clearly the Sikh community here in the UK have always struggled to get a parliamentary voice. Yes, we do have parliamentary members of parliament who are Sikhs. They are turban-wearing Sikhs, and Preet Kaur Gill on the female side. They do represent the Sikh voice to some degree, but the point is their voices are quite often drowned out, and certainly on many issues that the Labour Party has promised, including, for example, the delivery of this judge-led inquiry into the 1984 Operation Blue Star, British involvement in that, which still remains undelivered. The freedom of Jagtar Singh Johal is still in doubt. Why is he still residing in arbitrary detention? It is up to the Sikh community to keep the pressure on, and it is this announcement that will allow a very powerful body now to take up these issues and actually apply a huge amount of pressure now. This is a very focused approach on the British government now. They're going to find it very hard to resist the voice of this alliance. This alliance represents an awful lot of people, an awful lot of voters. Let's put it down to what it really matters to the government. It's an awful lot of voters that this Gurdwara Alliance represents. Their voice is important. Their voice is now very powerful. And I think as a result of this, we will see the government actually have to start delivering on many of its promises. Let's see, we will judge by results, and we will be here reporting on what those results will be, positive or negative. But well done to the community for once again organising itself in a very powerful fashion, and full power to this new alliance. So there you have it. That was Mini Perspectives for another day, and we'll be back next week as normal for our normal full perspectives. Do leave your comments. Let us know your thoughts about this alliance in the comments below. But that is it for another day. Again, it's a goodbye from me. We'll see you tomorrow.